Let's just get into it, shall we? Alright, G2. What a shit show. Even with the absence of Alexi B, this should have been a comfortable top 3 finish for this roster. Nico going almost completely missing is likely a big part of the reason why they couldn't beat the non-Australian teams in this group, and that might have something to do with the fact that he chose to call. He's more familiar with the system than Amanek coming in, obviously, but still, you'd think just make the most of your individuals, play off your skill, let Amanek do the basic, bare-bones leadership you're going with. But no, they decided to keep the full system in place, I think. Maybe they thought it'd hamper their development as a unit under this new leadership system to divert from that now, but this is a game of wins and losses. You've got to take those W's and move on. Sure, you might lose a little time in the development process, but this is not the place to be taking the moral stand, trying to take some sort of long-term view high ground. Just get the wins. Hunter and Munazi both played well, which is nice, but neither could really replicate that level of impact Nico has had in prior events, so it's a nice showing. We know there's the support players in there for Nico to be that top dog, to really have a winning side, but neither one of them can really replace him when he's not playing at his best. Alexi B's absence was, of course, temporary. He was back by the last game, so we expect the team to look better in the coming months, but still, with that in mind, not making out of ESL Pro League groups is a big opportunity whiffed for a team like this, and they should be aiming to be one of the top 3 teams in the world, so yeah, not quite good enough. We can make excuses, we can give reasons, but it still just isn't good enough. I won't be too critical of LFO, not really, at this event at least. I expect them to be much worse, considering what I'd seen from them coming in. They took maps off of Fnatic and NIP, which is a huge achievement considering they were... well, the level they used to, they weren't exactly shining. Prior to this event, they were losing series like 2-0 against pretty no-name European and Asian teams. These are games which they should be winning comfortably if they want to be taken seriously as the champion of their sort of region. So coming in, I was expecting them to get absolutely battered by everyone. So considering my expectations coming in, it's a small victory that they didn't get absolutely battered in every single series, but still, not a great showing, is it? This is a team that I think would actually benefit greatly from moving to NA, playing in their Premier, doing that sort of thing. Playing at a level that's higher than Australian CS, but not quite EU. They're not EU ready. They're not even EU like advanced Premier sort of ready, based off the performance I've seen from them online. So if they can get an org, to move them to the US, I think that'd be the next step in their development, like sort of cycle. But for now, this team just isn't up to snuff for this kind of standard. Mouse Sports. Okay, Dexter, your time is almost up. Like, we are this close. This close. If you're not going to lead your team to wins, you're going to have to frag, and you aren't even really fragging. The only shred of positivity I have for Mouse right now is how quickly BMAS has embraced his return to the lurk role, but can we even credit that to Dexter? Cyclone's influence might be stronger in this case, as that man has been a stud of a coach since joining Mouse and XT from Tricked all those months ago. He's clearly got the touch when it comes to player development, and you see that continuing here as BMAS looked pretty damn good. Back on the Dexter side though, I'm willing to give him one more big event. One more event to prove that he can lead a team to wins before I call just for his outright removal. Everything else has trended kind of in the right direction. Torzi looks like a tier 1 AWPer. BMAS looks like he likes this role, looks like he's a bit more comfortable. MBK is clearly not devoid of skill, and Frozen's still Frozen. So there are the pieces in place and the coach to really be a solid Louvre agreement franchise sort of tournament worthy team. But I think the last thing that's holding them back is Dexter. We'll see after that one event I've decided to give him, but I'm not feeling that hopeful. NIP. The days go by, and NIP still haven't announced the return of Device or the signing of Brolan. And yet, my belief in this side is actually growing, not shrinking. Yep, me, one of the biggest NIP kind of doubters and non-believers, actually has some hope. DGL's addition has not gone unnoticed, as their T-sides have gone from a massive weakness in 2021 to a strength here in Germany. Some minor things we can notice already is that we see Rez a little more involved in the early T rounds. He's averaging a higher amount of opening duels, things like that. But with that in mind, we've actually decreased the amount of opening duels Hampus is taking. Hampus is still taking those duels, but his efficiency has gone up. So clearly there's more of a plan to it. It's less improvised, it's less played off feel, I think, was my kind of the vibe I was getting watching in IP last year. And really the key to this is that once they've lost their opening duel, they are far more efficient at trading that opening death, and also they look far stronger in 4v5s in general. Now, part of their strength in 4v5s might come from an increase in performance from both Esatag and Plopsky. Fuzi's been about the same, I think. Sure, his numbers look better thanks to the wins, but overall I don't think he's changed that much. He's not gotten that much better. It's more Estag and Plopsky for me who have made the big difference. And then, of course, Rez. We said he's a bit more involved early, but he's also just been an absolute beast all game long throughout this event. Like, he was their shining star. He only had one bad series, and that was against G2 once everything was said and done, really. It didn't matter to them if they won, lost, drew, or just capitulated before the game even started. It didn't matter. That was Rez's only bad series. Everything else, he was a stud. Huge credit to him, of course, basically leading his team in the fragging department. So yeah, still things to be really hopeful about in this NIP side. If they do end up getting Device back with this new system, the way it's working, the way the players are flourishing in it, we could see another dangerous NIP side. We're talking potentially top 5 in this year of ultimate competitiveness. Well, prior to the whole Russia thing, ultimate competitiveness, NIP could be a surprise top 5 team. We'll see what happens though. With the roster in tatters coming in, I expected Fnatic to be an easy out in this group, but thanks to Mezzi, Poison, and of course Alex, they pulled off quite an astonishing feat and made it out of the group. Congratulations. Mezzi showed everyone what the UKCS fanboys have been saying for quite a while now. When you need a superstar rifler, look no further than this Brummy legend. Poison, on the other hand, proved his career isn't over, and at this point, I think his career should be moving forward as a part of Fnatic. Being an external observer, I can't really know how everything went between the players themselves, if they meshed, if they were happy with the way that each other played, but his level is quite clearly still there in terms of at least his peak. Yes, we still have some consistency issues. You saw that in this event, map to map, there were some pretty big fluctuations, but I still believe Poison has it in him to be in this tier 1 sort of AWP role, and this event kind of helped that case. I hope Fnatic sign him on, take the risk and take the plunge with Poison. Have to mention the young guys from the academy side, they played their part, but I think it's still too soon to put either of them in the team full time. Maybe at a stretch I could believe Pepsor, but I don't think Banjo's ready, and even then I'd prefer it if Pepsor went back down to the academy side. Brings up the other issue though. Right now, Fnatic should be in a bidding war really for JKS. I think he's the best available option out there in terms of riflers, but the odds of them actually forking over the dough are historically quite low. We have no idea what the future really holds for Fnatic right now, if they are willing to pay, if they are willing to get those big signings, but the duo of Mezzi and Alex is legit and is definitely one to hold on to. Finally, Entropic. Now, whilst the rest of the group's sort of rosters, level of play was marred in chaos, least of which was NIP's, but still everyone else was a bit of a mess, Entropic remained stoic in their level of play at least, like overall. This despite them not having a really consistent #1 guy in the big matches, because they never really do historically. Elian and Forrester did enough to get them through the group stage this time, but their big win against G2 was powered by Lackey and Nickelback, and Forrester notably struggled, so you see what I mean here. The big games, the big players, not as reliable. Can you really rely on Nickelback and Lackey time and time again in playoffs to do the same thing? I don't know. Elian specifically, his rating is flattering, considering a lot of that is inflated by that LFO series where he got to dumpster on quite low tier opponents, but that's kind of been the standard for his entire career. He's been dumpstering the lower level opponents, and then against the big teams, he's never found quite the same level. We saw this against Mouse, we saw it against NIP, he wasn't quite there. Yeah, he was a bit better against G2, but still wasn't even close to his average. It wasn't close to his career average. It was still a step down, so still more to be seen from Elian, I think. They should be happy with their overall team performance, the fact they made out of the group, the fact they got 4 wins, all of that very impressive, and Entropic as a unit look pretty good. If they don't have those big superstar performances, if they don't have their real big impact players deliver in the playoffs, they won't be able to make it very far, and I don't think honestly they will, unless they show us that next step. They're probably going to falter down and probably going to get eliminated in the first round. We'll see though. Alright, thank you for watching. That's just a little slice of my mind about the EPL Group A. Big shout out goes to my elite contenders, that's XL and Laggy15. Thanks to their support, I'm able to continue making this content and, actually get something out of it. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts about these teams, about these players, about their level of play and what you expect from them going forward. Like if you enjoyed it, sub if you want to see more, and go check out some of my other content where I get more in depth about certain players and the way they play. That's all for this one. Goodbye.